Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. We are now 1916, but I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com, and everything you see here is for sale. So reach out to me directly to buy any of these watches or inquire about pricing, boxes, papers, and accessories. We sell what we buy what we sell, and we are always looking to build inventory, especially as we move deeper into the holiday season. Buy, sell, or trade with us. If you wish to sell, we pay fast, we pay cash, we wire direct, we make the process a no-brainer, walk you through it, and no upper limit on value paid. We will buy your entire collection to buy, trade, or sell. tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we discuss a Boss World 2013 release that, for legality reasons, wasn't able to be an official Tintin comic tie-in, although, yes, that is the exact notion behind this Omega Speedmaster professional moonwatch with the Tintin rocket dial. If you're familiar with the Tintin comics, open a different window, keep me streaming. If you're not, this is the aesthetic of the rocket ship from the comics. Now, Omega and the Tintin owners of the copyright originally had this notion to create a co-branded watch. Unfortunately, it didn't come to pass, but the watch was made all the same. Responsible guesses estimate somewhere between 1,000 and 4,000 of these were made, meaning by Speedmaster professional standards, quite exclusive. Now, aside from the fact that it does have the Tintin dial, it is otherwise a conventional moonwatch, caliber 1861 inside. You can see on the reverse side, it has red lettering, which is distinct from the black commonly used on these, a little distinction for the Tintin model. 48 hours of power reserve, manual wind, Lamagna-based caliber, 42mm diameter case, and of course we have the Hesalite thermoplastic crystal, preferred by NASA, because while it can scratch more easily than a sapphire, the Hesalite is tougher to shatter in a zero-gravity environment than a sapphire. That's why the moon watches still use that. On my 16-centimeter circumference wrist, it wears nicely. It's not super thin, but it's also not super thick, so it'll fit underneath the jacket cuff just fine. The end links of the bracelet do give it quite a wingspan, so I'd recommend this watch on the bracelet for 15 centimeters circumference and up, 14 centimeters if you were to put it on a strap. All right, that is the Tintin. Now, from a moonshot-themed watch to a moonshot from a technical and artistic standpoint. This is a 2019 model launched by Bethune. It's the legendary DB28, and the variant is yellow tones. It's not gold. All of this is fired grade 5 titanium, so it's been heated to create this lush and lovely orange yellow. And you can see every element that has that color has been fired using the same technique. Now, the DB28 came out in 2010. It won the 2011 GPHG Aiguille, essentially the golden needle, or the best picture at the Oscars of watchmaking. So this is that lineage of DB28. We have variable geometry floating lugs that are spring-loaded to match the contour of your wrist. The watch itself is 42.6 millimeters in diameter. I will withdraw the crown right here and fire it up so you guys can watch it in action. We'll zoom in a little bit. Now, the thing about the DB28 and the DB25s is that mechanically they're identical. The 25 is just a much more conservative watch, whereas the 28 has all of the action, the barrels, the barrel bridge, the escapement, the triple parachute shock protection, and the balance on the dial side of the watch. Now, one reason this is a little bit thinner than a standard 28, let's fire it up now, is that this doesn't actually have the dial side power reserve indicator of a standard 28. Instead, the power reserve is fully expressed on the reverse of the case, and you can see the finish is world class. 6 days of power reserve, manual wind, twin self-adjusting barrels, that's patented. You cannot accidentally overwind it, that's the idea. We have a spherical moon phase, also patented back in 2004, 1/2 yellowed, 1/2 white palladium, and it only needs to be adjusted once every 122 years. You can see it as a true sphere with 2 hemispheres and 2 colors. The barrel bridge with a combination of a black polished and fired cap, and then below that Côte de Bethune striping, solarization on the barrels. We have cabochon of polished titanium acting as the hour indices, and 1, 2, 3 shock protection springs on the balance. That's called triple parachute. It's there both to improve timekeeping and to reduce the vulnerability of the balance staff pivots to shattering under shock. We have a 2-element hairspring that's flat, cut in 2, shaped manually, clamped back together to breathe concentrically like an overcoil, but also be as thin as a flat hairspring. We have the 2016 balance by watchmaking genius Denis Flageolet of Bethune. He has at least 10 balance wheel designs at this point. Each one is designed to keep better time than the last. This one, with a titanium blued wheel and white gold masses in the rim, has minimum susceptibility to aerodynamic drag, but also the effects of changing temperature on the timing of the watch are quite minimal. You can see we have a crown that is a screw down for reasons of security and protection. And then we have a super easy wrist fit. By the way, the watch is super slim at only about 12 millimeters thick. It's actually a little bit less than that. Throw it on the wrist, you can see how those lugs help it to fit nicely. And all titanium and sapphire, it wears feather light. De Bethune is a company that only makes Grail watches, and you could see why with watches like this. By the way, the finishing on the movement as traditional and gorgeous as anything you'll see from the likes of Lange or Patek Philippe or Lange. It's just that de Bethune has its own standards and design language, but the finishing quality is as good as anything in the business. Moser also does things its own way. Revived in 2005 as a brand name and then revived as a going concern from a business standpoint by the Milan family in 2012, Moser today is one of the most robust and vigorous brands in the business, cranking out watches that are masterpieces. In broad strokes, they do sports watches and dress watches, but within those lines, they have a lot of small micro variants. And this right here is a Tantalum 10-piece U.S. market limited edition with a Jade dial. It is the Endeavour Perpetual Tantalum with Jade dial. And you can see that the simplicity of the Andreas Streller designed perpetual calendar system means that you can adjust the calendar forward or backwards. See how the little index at center is moving forward and backwards? The reason for that is that we have 12 hours. The little stub index points to whichever hour corresponds to the 12 months. So for example, you can see this is at 9 right now, pointing toward 9. That's September 29. It is September 29th. And you have the ability to adjust the calendar forward or backwards. If you're wondering where's the leap year, Streller cleverly hid it on the back, reasoning that you'd rarely have to consult this piece of information. 2 mainspring barrels with their arbors set in golden screw-fixed chaton. The movement's rated for 7 days of power reserve. In fact, it'll run for almost 9. Note the use of 2 symmetrical, horizontally opposed flat hairsprings with a free-sprung balance of Moser's own fabrication. Moser makes the 14-karat gold low-friction escapement, the balance, and the 2 flat hairsprings. They make those parts in-house at their precision engineering subsidiary. And so by having those 2 flat hairsprings 180 degrees out of phase with each other, when you turn the watch over, one is inclined to start running faster, the other runs slower, and by an equal and opposite magnitude, so instantaneously performing the duty of a tourbillon to cancel out the effects of gravity. It gets better. Look carefully and you can see that the capstone on the balance staff is a genuine brilliant cut diamond. We also have Moser's distinctive double-crested Côte de Genève. You can see that the case back is actually cupped and cambered to match the arc of your wrist. The Tantalum case, according to CEO Edouard Milan, forced them to wear out a set of tools for every case manufactured. And you can see it has that bewitching blue-gray metal with a combination of deep polished recesses in the lug profiles and a concave bezel that swells and grows broader at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And Moser first machines and then hand finishes its cases, so it can get this super deep lug sculpting that would be impossible with stamping or machining alone. You can see that beautiful flowing concave bezel. And this one's really all about the Streller Perpetual Calendar System, the 7+ day power reserve, and the Jade dial. I'll say one other thing. Because the escapement, the whole assortment, balance, hairsprings, the gold escapement, they lift out as one piece. So when this watch goes back to the regional Moser service bureau, and they have service bureaus around the world, they'll quickly install a pre-serviced unit. The other elements of the movement are a lot more straightforward to service, so the watch will come back to you sooner. And again, 1 of 10 made. Good luck finding another. Urwerk. Martin Fry, designing. Felix Baumgartner, watchmaker, launched in 1997, one of the original modern-day independents. And what you see here is a 2019 launch in blackened steel and titanium. This is the UR-100, and it is a space traveler watch. As you can see, it has little calibrations on the side that show you the distance the Earth rotates in 20 minutes, 555.55 kilometers, And then on the other side, you have the distance that the Earth travels around the Sun in 20 minutes, 35,742 kilometers. The watch is actually spectacular in its luminescence. And all of the scales, as well as the carousels, are luminescent. And the way this works is you have a numeral on a carousel. It enters stage right. So you can see now it's 3. Now it's 3:15. Now it's 3:45. As the outgoing hour exits stage left, the incoming hour, 4, enters stage right, just like that. It is a modern day take on the Renaissance era wandering hours clock complication, which was reintroduced in the modern era by Audemars Piguet in 1991 as the star wheel, but Urwerk uses a more robust system based on Maltese cross carousels, as opposed to the star wheel and spring of Audemars Piguet, which is a little bit more sensitive. The finishing is beautiful, although the grayscale aesthetic makes it a little bit difficult to see. It is handsomely decorated. On the reverse side, we have a planetary turbine system that's designed to promote durability with the winding system. It is a Zenith Elite base, automatic winding with a 48-hour power reserve and a 4 hertz beat rate. And you can see that this launched as a 25-piece limited edition in black and black back in 2019. And so you have a case back and case that are a combination of titanium and steel. We have this lovely combination of leather and textile Urwerk factory strap. You can see an Urwerk branded buckle. Look at the attention to detail. You have a matte buckle and then a polished pin. Little things like that from the pen of Martin Fry make me happy. Now the watch is 49.7 millimeters from lug to lug and 41 millimeters wide, but it wears quite compact. There's some watches that have unusual ergonomics such that they wear a little bit smaller than they are. This wears maybe 1 or 2 millimeters smaller than a rated 41, so think of it that way. And again, my wrist is 16 centimeters, so you get a sense of how it fits. Here's a monster from Lange. White gold, 41 millimeters, a 150-piece edition launched in 2021. This is the Lange und Söhne Lange 1 Perpetual calendar. While most Lange watches feature a solid sterling silver dial that's then galvanized to get whatever color the company wants, when you see these salmon dials on Lange watches, they're actually solid rose gold. So we have white gold hands, indices, numerals, and frame for the date. The dial is then made of solid rose gold. The moon phase disc is made of white gold, and then the case is also made of white gold. Let me show you something about this moon phase. As you adjust it, yes, the moon moves in the lunar cycle, but we've got a combination of day and night as the backdrop to the moon. You can see how the combination of the stars and the darker sky with the lighter daytime sky communicate the passage of time over 24 hours. Now, we also have a perpetual calendar system with a retrograding day, a double-digit date, and then an orbital month with a leap year phase down at the bottom. A really special watch. This one actually has a automatic winding system and a 50-hour power reserve. Check it out. The rotor itself features 4 different types of finish, and it's held to a platinum mass using blued screws. But take a look. The rotor is made of 21 karat gold, and the mass is made of platinum. I don't know of any other company that has a double precious metal rotor. The bridges and plates are German silver, so an alloy of nickel, copper, and zinc, with the copper giving it its golden hue. Note we have both black polished and fire blued screws with golden chaton cups holding the jewels just like they would have back in the pocket watch era of Lange watchmaking. We do have a hacking second system. You could see that this is a free sprung balance for extra durability and precise adjustment in a chronometer style, 5 positions. You could see we have glasuta stripes across the bridges. We do have mirrored anglage on the edge of the bridges, black polishing such as on the case clamp screws, the cap to the escape wheel. We have the center of the rotor over the ball bearing, black polished, and we have the swan's neck system. You can also see that we have freehand engraving of the balance cock and then 2 different sizes of engine turning on the border of the base plate with an even larger size of engine turning just below the balance. And you can see that the bridge for the escapement anchor that has snailing across its top. The detail is simply surpassing. What a watch! And it features a rarity for Lange in the form of a full double deployant factory clasp. In general, Lange only includes pin buckles, so getting this offers you both more value and some protection against accidentally dropping your watch. It's a big timepiece, there's no doubt about that. 41 millimeters with a massive case. I'd recommend this watch for a wrist of my size or larger. So if your wrist is 16 centimeters circumference, it's going to wear nicely. If your wrist is smaller, you're probably going to want to seek a smaller size of Lange 1. But what a machine. And with the double gold, the gold dial and the gold case, it really has a lot of weight to it. Very impressive. Frankly, I don't understand why Laurent Ferrier does not have a 2-year wait list. Sure, it's an établisseur. It specifies the design of its parts and it collects them from the best suppliers. It assembles, finishes, and regulates those components as complete watches, but some people have a prejudice against a company that doesn't make everything in-house. Bethune does make everything in-house, dials, cases, and movements. But is there anything wrong with working with the world's best suppliers to build a superlative and gorgeous watch? For the first 250 years of its existence, that's exactly what Vacheron did. So here we have the Laurent Ferrier double spiral tourbillon, an onyx black dial, a white gold case of 41 millimeters, and look at that reflective glossy onyx black dial. Taking a look at the reverse side, we have a movement that simply waters the eyes. Designed in collaboration with Barbacini and Navas of La Fabrique du Temps, this is of course the 91601, designed aesthetically to look like a 19th century chronometry tourbillon caliber. Take a look at the architecture, starting with the barrel, which is solarized. The stripes are incredibly luminous and deep. The anglage is among the finest in the industry. I would really rate it in the top 10. That anglage is done in-house at Laurent Ferrier. The stripes are broad. The bevels are matched by interior bevels for the screw and jewel sinks. You can see each one of them has a beveled sink. We have a black polished bridge designed to evoke antique bridges on tourbillon regulator chronometry movements. And then the tourbillon cage features extraordinary interior and exterior angles on micro beveled surfaces. Plus, you could see we've got a golden anchor. We have 2 free-sprung, horizontally opposed flat hairsprings, and just like on the Moser, only now on a tourbillon regulator, having those 2 identical hairsprings 180 degrees out of phase means in any position, this watch does what a tourbillon was supposed to do when it was invented by Breguet for pocket watches, which is to cancel out the effects of gravity. We have a spectacular linear click that is both the spring and the click to prevent the barrel, I should say, from running backwards. And then you can see there's satination with internal beveling inside of the wheel surfaces. This is as good as it gets, adjusted in 6 positions, 80-hour power reserve. Take a look at that bridge for the balance. This is among the finest you'll see in the industry. Note the exterior points where bevels come to a point. That's as difficult as interior angles. And you can see on the left side of the bridge, there's no shortage of interior angles where bevels meet in a crease. The watch includes a simple white gold pin buckle. We'll throw it on the wrist. White gold onyx tourbillon, extraordinary finish. Honestly, I just don't understand why Laurent Ferrier is not the hottest thing going. The quality of the watches is really second to none, and production is quite low by the standards of independents like Moser and Richard Mille that make thousands of watches a year. Even Journe is approaching 1,000 this year, and that's counting just the mechanical watches. Journe makes another 2,000 to 3,000 quartz elegant watches per year on top of his mechanical production, so a really special watch. Okay. This is a 20-piece limited edition, 40 millimeters in titanium, with a hammered and enameled Grand Faux dial. You can see aqua is the color on this Moser Endeavour tourbillon tourbillon minute repeater, I should say. We have a perpetual calendar here, if you want your Moser with a perpetual calendar. But this is the tourbillon minute repeater developed in conjunction with Manufacture Haute Complication, or MHC, a specialist in high horology chiming complications. You can see right here we have a tourbillon regulator that is a flying tourbillon, meaning no upper bridge to block your view of it. Then we have the hammered precious metal dial base that's in white gold, and then it's a Flinke Grand Faux enamel. Flinke meant that you have a translucent fired enamel over the base that preserves your vision of the texture, whether it's guilloche or hammering. It is a 90-hour power reserve, and you can see those strikers are finished to a standard far above what you'll conventionally find on a Moser watch, and that's true of the finish throughout this 40mm titanium limited edition of 20 pieces. Now let me show you. I believe this is a 2022 model, your watch. We're going to try to set the watch to 12:59 and then appreciate the action. This is one of the top 3 best sounding minute repeaters I've ever experienced, both for its volume and for its tone. And you can see those strikers. Look at those exterior points, because those are steel. Look at those exterior points where bevels meet. Check out the reverse. This is where I think MHC got involved and raised the standard of finish, because this is above what I've ever seen on a Moser. First, take a look at the interior angles that surround the arbor of the barrel. Look at how sharply creased they are, and look how broad the bevels are. Now, this is a nicely finished watch, but you can see this is more of a standard Moser bevel, with the bevels being relatively narrow and started mechanically and finished with a buffing tool. They're narrow and they're straight from top to bottom, whereas here they are extraordinarily broad and then they're rounded in an arc from top to bottom. Also, look at the steel bridge for the drivetrain from the barrel down to the tourbillon. It's a descending set of tiers. That has been entirely rounded on its edge. You can see those little roots where it's mounted to the base plate. They've been rounded, and then the center has been black polished. We have Moser's typical double-crested Côte de Genève, which look outstanding here, but really it's the quality of the beveling and the black polishing of steel components, as well as the interior beveling of the wheels, that raises my suspicion MHC was more than just a design partner. I think some of these parts might have actually been finished by them. Now, everything that was true of the Tantalum case is true of this case, but the Tantalum case you saw at the beginning was a 42. This is a 40. Even a lady can wear this. It's only about 47 millimeters from lug to lug. It's fairly thin with a sloped case flank. I adore this watch. I really think that some titanium minute repeaters, like for example, those from JLC, are brutally loud without any art or lyrical quality, whereas this has it all. It's even visually spectacular. With the strikers on the dial side, you don't even need to take the watch off to show your friends. Absolutely stunning stuff. It is the loudest minute repeater you're going to see today, but it is not the only one, because I have the legendary reference 5002P Patek Philippe Sky Moon Tourbillon, launched in 2001 with 12 complications and a 42.8mm platinum case. It was part of a series that ran until 2012, and best estimates are that somewhere between 100 and 120 were created, but that also included rose, yellow, and white gold models, so the platinum again is a subset of the 100 to 120 pieces. Excellent rarity, a lovely guilloche dial featuring the Calatrava cross, and a hand-engraved case flank featuring the same. Now, the watch has a perpetual calendar with a retrograde date. It has a moon phase and age of the moon. It has a tourbillon, though the tourbillon is internal, and it has a minute repeater. Now, on the reverse side, you can see a sky chart. It's actually a couple of things. You can see a secondary indication of the time. If you look, you can see the sky over the northern hemisphere. You can also see both the orbit and phase of the moon, which you'll note is adjustable independently. So you'll see whether the moon is visible and also what phase of the moon is present. There are several overlapping sapphires that make this possible, and you can see it's not just going to give you the orbit and phase of the moon. It'll actually show you what the stars in the constellation look like on any given night. Even if you're indoors, you will know what's overhead. Now, flipping it back to the dial side, the watch has a covered dial because, as with most Patek Philippe tourbillon watches, the tourbillon features a serial number on the dial side. Though the watch is large, being 42.8, it's significantly smaller than the 6002 that followed it. And I could actually wear this. Would it be large? Would it push me to my limits? Yes, of course it would. But I could wear this quite comfortably, and I would feel like, given how much is in the case, case and the fact that the movement is 38 millimeters in diameter in total, this feels purposefully large. It doesn't feel like a goof. It doesn't feel like something that's big just for the sake of size. Now we'll fire this one up as well so you can get a sense. And it's absolutely true that the Stern family, first Henri, then Philippe, and now Terry, they listen to minute repeaters before they're delivered to the customers. The idea being to assure that the sonic quality is up to Patek Philippe standards. Let's do our best to get to 12:59. Hopefully I didn't go too far. It's about as good as it gets, guys. If you love what you see here, we are now the 1916 company, but I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for all of your purchase and pricing questions.